tell us your name and what you do here?
Sure. I'm Alex Ruthmann, and I'm a professor here at NYU Steinhardt in music education and music technology. And I direct the Music Experience Design Lab, where we partner together with industry, students, educators, and nonprofits in designing new technologies and experiences in music making. And in this capacity here, I'm also sitting as co-founder of MuseEd a startup that we founded out of our academic lab to commercialize the innovations outside of our lab, and then an entrepreneurial funding stream to create and support stuff that's happening in the academic lab. Sure.
That last sentence.
Sure. Let me back that.
What happened then?
The sound keeps cutting out.
Great. Is that from that connection in the back? Okay.
Okay. And in this capacity, I'm here as co-founder of MuseEd, a startup that we founded to commercialize the innovations coming out of our academic lab, and is set up to create a entrepreneurial revenue stream to fund our academic lab.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people are like, this is an example of what I'm talking about. Is that because you're? So can you?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Right.
Yeah, I know, right? What are we talking? Like, break this down for people who might not be as familiar with the space about why it's so interesting.
So when I came to NYU, I was seeing all of this wonderful IP kind of sitting on the floor in our music tech program, music business. Students were creating amazing things. I had ideas of what I could create, and there really wasn't this opportunity space to take the ideas that were emerging in the lab and bring them to market. Further, we were getting a lot of interest in our prototypes from large entertainment, media, music companies, but they wanted something that was turnkey that they could license rather than something that we had matured. So what we've done is we've kind of created this experiment of founding a startup that could move at the speed of business, that would have rights to all the great IP that we're seeing here emerge in the music department here at NYU, and to provide the core biz dev staff, the core tech development staff, to really advance, translate, and mature a lot of the IP that's coming here into commercial products, licenses, et cetera.
And then you're kind of sharing this space, right?
Yeah, so we're extremely excited. My academic lab is located next door, along with a number of other colleagues and students in the music and audio research group. And then here, this is the incubator space where our startup is set up, and we're anticipating many more ed and other tech startups coming in this space. And then we get to share it with the StartED Accelerator and benefit from that proximity and exchange. You know, they're bringing in amazing guests and amazing mentors, and that's an opportunity for me and the students who work with me to learn from these startups who are going through similar things and to learn from the mentors. And it's an opportunity for us in the academic lab, because we're doing research with kids and with learning and in education, to bring that knowledge back to the startups that are also incubated here.
What do you see as like are you the catalyst here? Like, what just happened where this all became real, moving from that?
Well, I don't know that it's that I'm the catalyst. It's something that we've been working on here in the lab, of building this entrepreneurial space for a while, and then it aligned with our new dean, Dom Brewer, who really is supporting entrepreneurialism and innovation and EdTech. And it was just the right confluence of the space opened up. There was a great partnership with Ash and Jonathan at StartED to be able to bring together real startups, and to also then create a space for the academic labs here in Steinhardt to really work and co-work together and innovate together.
How does that, I just find this all really interesting. How does traditional academic models work with?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, there's a lot of intellectual property that's developed, innovative ideas, and it doesn't go anywhere. Or students graduate and they don't have the support to take it to another step. Traditionally, for a faculty member, we have an Office of Industrial Liaison or Tech Transfer, which maybe there's a company that might be interested in something we develop, but there's not really the infrastructure traditionally to map and to match up startups and companies who are interested in these ideas with what's coming out of the academic lab. And in addition, you know, the business world is changing. It used to be that you would have companies that would invest in early stage ideas from professors and academic labs, but now they're moving towards more wanting something that's turnkey, something that's already matured. And so there was this gap between what we could mature in the academic lab and what large entertainment, media, tech companies wanted to license. And so we needed to find a way and a strategy for bridging that gap. So our experiment in that space is MuseEdWorks as this for-profit public benefit corporation that's set to move at the speed of business, because we can be honest here that university bureaucracy isn't always the fastest and easiest to deal with that. So we wanted to have a for-profit business sitting parallel with the academic lab to move at the speed of business with a relationship back to the university in that, but to generate revenue as an incubator space for student projects to come through, but also for us to build a new entrepreneurial revenue stream to fund our academic work.
Cool. I want to just drill down really quickly into, you kind of talked about this, I'm trying to get this right, the willingness of academia, or the place right after academia, to invest in sort of these invisible pastures. I mean, I felt like we're talking a little bit about people who are trying to solve problems that people don't know are problems.
Right, and that's the other great partnership I think here with the academic lab. So every semester I run a course in designing technologies and experiences for music, which is all around problem solving, lean, agile development, and startup. So what we do is we partner our students here at NYU Steinhardt with audiences related to music. That could be a classroom teacher and her fourth grade students. It could be fans at a music festival. It could be the New York Philharmonic. It could be Steinway. It could be any other myriad number of people related to music. And what we do is we partner them with interdisciplinary teams of students at Steinhardt, where we spend the first month getting to know what the real pain points are, what are the challenges, who are the audiences we want to design with. We go through that, and then we prototype through 2 design cycles, either a new technology, a new programmatic approach, a new curriculum, something in that space twice to kind of get feedback from customers along the way, and then we present that at the end of the semester in a Shark Tank. So that the students can get real-world feedback by working on projects, but also then learn the design process, lean startup process, and realize that, you know, problems that they might face in their own workplace as they leave, they can be involved in solving them. They can find people, they can find what those real problems are, because they've then been taught a process that leads them to figure those out.
I mean, that seems like a big change.
It is a big change. Yeah, I mean, traditionally, you know, schools aren't set up to support this, and it's something that we've been playing around with around how can we build this into the curriculum and create spaces within the you know, everybody's study to be able to explore this if they're interested in an entrepreneurial kind of building that skill set or coming up with an idea. So there are traditionally a lot of project-based courses where people might design a piece of technology for their music technology class, but often that happens in a vacuum where they make a lot of assumptions about who the end user is, they really design it for them, and it ends up being this product that doesn't solve a real-world problem. And so often they'll present that at a tech show or things like that, and they get feedback from industry like, that's great, that's cool, but what's the problem you're solving? Who's your audience? And that's fine. It's absolutely great to be able to have that free time when you're a student to kind of explore and ideate. But if you're also thinking about, well, could this become a product? Could this even transcend being a product and now be a business? You know, how do we provide those skills? And that's really what we're trying to do here with our coursework by having this space. To provide an opportunity for students to learn this and to work alongside real people trying to develop real products in the marketplace.
That's awesome. And can you speak, is there a benefit to being all of these different environments working together in the same physical space?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, the power of proximity is so important here. Because we can have these arm's length conversations. Traditionally, I might be locked up inside my office doing work, grading papers, building things. Somebody else might be on another side of campus. And here in Steinhardt, we are fairly spread out. We have students over in Brooklyn, we have students here, and this really creates a place where we can come together and have a space to hang and to meet. And anybody who's interested in education, anybody who's interested in tech, or in our case, around music and arts tech, can come in and find other collaborators with that. So the fact that I just have to go to the next room that has an open door and hang out with 9 great startups that are being accelerated next door, or to see the talk that's coming through, is amazing. And it allows them to come through and seeing what they're doing. We've already had several instances of that where, you know, we're working in here and we're playing some music on one of our new apps we might be developing, and somebody gets curious and then comes over. And that kind of thing you don't run into normally because everybody's in their own place. The academics are in their ivory tower, the students are out on the quad, businesses are over in their business towers, and really this is that opportunity to blow away those walls and create an open space where we can share, create, and learn from each other.
That's awesome. What else do you feel like sharing with us today?
I don't know. Who's the audience for this? Just whoever? No? You're just doing open. You're just doing.
This is an open. They said come and film. So,
come and film. Okay.
So I guess.
Sure.
For me, it would just be interesting if you talked about what you were showing me. To actually take an example of a product you've developed and how it went through the process. And you guys should talk too. I feel like if we're.
Yeah, these are our staff. So. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
My computer's in the shop right
Oh,
now.
don't worry, our light's in the shop.
Yeah.
I am reading some papers from my students on a class that is related to music assisted technologies or assisted technologies for music making.
And she's teaching the course over in that.
At ITP.
At ITP,
Yeah.
the place I was always jealous of when I went to Gallatin. I was like, why can't I come to ITP? Why can't I come to ITP? It was pretty awesome. So I'm just curious because I saw you while we were talking. You might as well bring everybody together for a second. Come say hi. Come closer. Come closer. We can all get along here.
Oh, I can have just like my laptop's in the shot.
That's all right.
I'm like just.
You got cool shades.
Yeah.
Also, my sunglasses are in the shot. That's cool.
So, which of the you're teaching here? Just bring it down. It's been a while since I've been to college again. I forget.
Okay. I work as a designer at Music Lab and Music Works, and I'm also currently teaching a course at ITP in which we are making music interfaces for therapy, speech therapy, and for blind students. So interfaces that blind students can use to make music and improve their speech therapy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting.
How do you feel about working in this space? Is it similar or different than other spaces you've worked in?
It is definitely very amazing to be able to work together because we have been doing, as Alex mentioned, a lot of meetings here, meetings there, and we are always.
We have a home for the first time.
Yeah, we have a home and that feels good. And definitely is also very inspiring to see all the other initiatives work around education.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
All right. I am a creative education fellow and running the Ed Sullivan Fellowship Program, which is kind of an intergenerational creative community. Meets here on the 6th floor of Steinhardt on Saturdays, working and creating quality music projects centered in youth and particularly young people of color from New York City, building quality music work, recording in the Dolan studio and kind of interfacing with various graduate students and faculty in the creation of the music projects, the events, and around advising in however they might want to enter creative professions.
Awesome.
So it's interesting because like Jamie and Deanna started as students and have graduated and are now back in our orbit with that. And Deanna's teaching, but she's also our user experience designer in residence, our chief person on the business side, and Jamie is using her network to bring together and help run programs that bring youth in and teach entrepreneurialism.
Yeah, I also am a music teacher at a high school in Brooklyn and work for a program called Fresh Education that uses culturally responsive pedagogy, hip hop, and youth culture to integrate into ELA and social studies classes.
What's the company?
The program is called Fresh Education. It's a program of Urban Arts Partnership.
So a big part of what we do is collaborative design. And so we want to have teachers, we want to have students, we want to have industry and nonprofits all in this space together so we can work on these challenges and kind of learn and innovate from each other and with each other. And that's kind of what we're trying to build, and we're hoping to bring that here as well, is that a lot of our work is play testing with actual students and teachers, and we want to assemble a group of educators and students to come in, not only to serve us, but maybe also help serve as feedback for the other accelerator companies that are here as well.
But that seems like a really new. Steinhardt, was it economics? Was that my Steinhardt classes?
Maybe.
And I was always, the whole academic process was a challenge for me because I failed to see the practical applications. Now I understand there's steps to learning, but I kept coming back to people who got to make decisions for the World Bank who had no evidence, and they were literally controlled aspects of the world, and it would seem like they had they never
Right.
did what you did, which is play the game, right? Play the game.
It is
for a
playing the
minute,
game.
and if every kid that plays it says it sucks, you might have some work to do, even
That's
if you
right.
think it's great.
Well, you're going to burn through so much money and time if you don't actually involve your end users in the design. It's just, it's an economic thing, it's a quality thing, and so for us, we want to bring that process that we're able to kind of incubate in the academic sense to our work with nonprofits and startups in the city.
And do you feel like that language of startups is permeating education more and more?
Yeah, I mean, there's a need to sustain innovation and reach people who aren't being reached through traditional means in schools and outside of schools. I mean, in terms of music, the largest music educator in the world is YouTube right now. It's not happening in schools or face-to-face. It's people watching videos and learning and self-regulating, that kind of thing. So, everywhere there's music is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity for education, and an opportunity for us to design new interfaces and experiences for learning. So with that kind of breadth, the world is our classroom, and so why aren't we making our college classrooms more reflective of the world by opening them up and engaging?
Can I ask is this like just obvious fact or innovative thinking, or how does this fit for you from coming through I know these are broad questions. I'm curious how you relate to like this testing and let's call it reality-based learning for a minute. Like, is that just the way you think, or did you come from an entrepreneurship program and then?
No, did not come from an entrepreneurship program. I went here for music education, and before we met with Alex, went through, it was relatively traditional, progressive for the music education landscape, but the music education landscape is very much in service of perpetuating and sustaining the band, choir, and orchestra, oftentimes at the expense of all other forms of music that exist in the world. And so, yeah, I met Alex, I think, after he was here for maybe a month or two. I'd overheard a conversation he was having with a colleague of mine, and I was like, I'm not sure, I don't know exactly what's going on in there, but I'm curious to know more. And the more I kind of got into it, I was like, I don't know how this wasn't happening the whole time. This whole like reality-based kind of like user testing and play. I'm just like, where did I get the idea that didn't make sense? Because that's the one that I'm questioning now. And still questioning, probably will be forever.
Yeah, a lot of music education is about preserving tradition, and we have a lot of wonderful traditions to preserve. But in today's day and world, and particularly here in New York City, the students are so diverse. We have the largest school district in the U.S. We have the most diverse school district in the U.S. And how can we create meaningful music learning and making experiences for all the youth in our schools and at home? And that's really kind of the opportunity space that through partnerships with Urban Arts and other nonprofits and industry here, we're really trying to pilot not only a process, but then a resulting set of tested products that are really at that intersection.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. My nephew does music, and he goes to SUNY Purchases Beyond Me. I'm like, all I really know is that he has hundreds of thousands of listens on SoundCloud.
Yeah, great.
And
Nice.
shouldn't a music school
That is a metric of success.
right? Shouldn't you take that aspect of it and be like, okay, now you need to learn like how to orchestrate. Now you need to learn, and instead you didn't get into the music program. And I'm like,
If you start where they are, and then
why don't you start with the fact that people want to listen to this dude's music, and then like develop a whole program that teaches clearly people who are musicians, because that is how Mozart got his money, is people like to hear it, and go back I mean, that stuff that we consider the classics aren't just what people who had money felt like funding and sponsoring and developing. And I'm like, just do it the way YouTube does it. If you have 100,000 SoundCloud listens, we'll teach you how to make music the right
Right.
way.
Well, it reminds me of Kigo. I don't know if you know Kigo, EDM musician, who became viral on SoundCloud, just putting his mixes up. And all of a sudden got all this great interest, had all of a sudden 2 million listens and that, and then all of a sudden he had to learn how to be a live DJ. Because he worked in the box and just creating his own beats, but he then had to learn how to collaborate with musicians, and he only had 2 singles out, but spent like a year and a half boot camping. How do I do this live? How do I take my things and turn them into performances that I can control, and collaborating with that? And is a perfect example of like the industry taking a YouTube viral or SoundCloud viral phenom and then providing the education in order to let him go around where the real money making is for today's musicians, and that's around touring and merchandise and other deals and around that. So it's a perfect thing. He had 2 hits that were on there. Yeah,
It was like,
absolutely.
okay, now that I've made one of the world's most popular albums, I feel like for me to be doing this when I'm 80, I better learn how to actually, how to write music. And
Right. Well, and that's one thing. Yeah, and that's one thing. I was showing you our accordion before, and we're actually put that into a music theory for bedroom producers course online that people can take who doesn't assume that you know any language with that.
I would love to.
Yeah, it's at soundfly.com. So again, another great thing about being here in New York City is that there's so many great music tech startups and education startups. They're a music ed tech startup that's trying to create a framework for online courses for music learning and music making. And so we were able to partner with them with our accordion interface, and one of our PhD students, Ethan Hine, developed the course, developed the content, and really was reaching a pain point that a lot of musicians are running into. They're excited by popular music. They buy a piece of software like Ableton, and they want to then learn how to put it together, and then they're having to then reverse engineer music theory. And where do they go? Most of the music theory resources are assuming you want to play an instrument and read traditional notation. So we created this whole online set of learning modules where you use the computer keyboard to improvise and to play and learn theory with your favorite music tunes.
That's awesome. That's why when we were talking before, that's why I love Figure. The one thing it does in a way that Ableton is, like my nephew, who's much better at making pretty high-end beats, is like, oh, you like nice melody, and I'm like, yeah, that's because it has an interface where I can find the harmonics and bend notes and all these things that are actually chordlets you do with weird plugins.
Exactly.
And you forget what you wanted to do by the time you get the damn thing started. You're like, chaos pad, and then I'm like, what was I thinking?
Right. Well, I mean, even from
Some
there.
kind of harmonica and voice memo. Get me close.
So, like this, Deanna designed this, working with one of our partners, Kate Stone from Novalia, and this is a paper MIDI controller. So we can put whatever design we want in with conductive traces, play a piano on here, and it all synchronizes to your phone or your computer via Bluetooth with that. And so we're working a lot with adding tangibility to that, because how can we use paper interfaces for both lowering the cost but also for building? So imagine you would get a musical origami kit, for example, where you would get these paper cutouts that you could fold and build, customize, decorate, and then synchronize to your phone or your computer, and then you've built your own custom MIDI controller.
Did McDonald's
Yes.
license that
McDonald's
software?
licensed that technology in the UK for their tray, and also there's some pizza companies that licensed it for a DJ deck on cardboard. And so Kate Stone, who's developer of this from Novalia in the UK, is one of our visiting scholars for the next year. So this is another kind of benefit for the academic side. She's here in New York doing business development for her startup, but we're able to house her as a visiting scholar, entrepreneur in residence, and learn and make together with her and create new and better music products.
I was so sad when I found out that McDonald's thing was just like a market. Like I was like, wait, you just totally did that in one store like once.
Yes.
It's really awesome.
So we have the templates, we have the kits. You're welcome to come by and build. We just had, we should have one up here, but we did a whole interactive music surfaces hackathon this summer where we worked with a cardboard furniture developer, Cherigami, and Kate, and another audio startup here in the city called Loop Labs to create interactive cardboard furniture. So we try to have a lot of these innovative kind of opportunity spaces, because we have our contract projects, we have student academic projects, but we also need to have that open, fun play space where we can all get together and continue to innovate. And that's the kind of the core ethos. We're not really interested in game-based learning and competition. We're interested in the intrinsic motivation around artistic creation and play. And how can we build that into our digital experiences and software that we design with our clients?
Super cool. We'll just talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really awesome. I like that. Oh, it's so good. It's the future. All of the instruments in one box. Now what do you want to do? Most of them don't exist anymore. That's so. It's really neat. It's really neat to hear. I'm the dude in my